Hey, y'all, we want to welcome you all to the Billionaire Music Corner, where we talk about music and trendsetters in the music industry. People who are not necessarily household names, but maybe they should be, or folks that have a certain level of stardom or a certain level of clout, but maybe, you don't know who they are. This is a chance for you to find out who these people are and how they are making a sustainable, I can't talk today, a sustainable career in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, in the arts industry. How they are making not just a sustainable career, but how they are impacting other lives and doing the things that they are doing. Well, today we are honored to have with us Mr. Palmer Williams Jr. He is a comedian, singer, playwright, landscaper, father of three.
Yes, as far as I know.
But father of three. We'll leave it at that. And this is a brother who I've known for about almost going on 30 years.
Yes.
And just want to welcome him to the stage. How you doing, Palmer?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just very excited about being here. This is nice. You know what I'm saying? You look like you're 187 payments away from finishing up paying for this. This is nice.
We still working on it,
man.
Your
couch is at your studio. Ain't this nice? Nice.
Well, listen, that's important, man. We are actually sitting inside the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship.
Rice.
Rice, yeah.
Yes.
And Rice is gracious enough to allow us to use this space for
Thank
this
you,
particular.
Thank you, Rice.
For this particular podcast or
most definitely
whatever we want to call this conversation that we're going to have.
So basically, we're the gravy of rice. So we like the rice and gravy.
That sounds racist.
No, I'm hungry. Because y'all ain't had no real big snacks. Y'all had all dry snacks. I want some hot food this morning.
Then you'd really be asleep.
Well, yeah, and I'd be sillier.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
Hey, man, listen. So who is Palmer Williams Jr.?
Palmer Williams Jr. is a very, very country kid that has some very interesting starts to his life. Just the perfect family. I had two sisters, a brother, myself, my mom, and my dad. That's what I anticipate as being perfect. Because, you have to think about it. I was watching stuff like Leave It to Beaver and My Three Sons and Sanford and Son and Good Times and stuff like that when I was growing up.
How old are you? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm first cousin to Jesus.
Oh.
Yes. We kick it quite a bit.
Leave It to Beaver, man.
Right.
You took it back, man.
I went way back.
You went way back. So you're from Camden?
Yeah, Camden, Alabama.
Not New Jersey, not Camden, New Jersey.
Right. And then in Wilcox County, which I understand there's a Wilcox County in Georgia also, but
yes.
Wilcox County in Alabama. And to make a long story short, my mom passed away when I was 8. So I had to basically move to Mobile, Alabama, and I started living with my aunt and uncle. That was Virgil Rhodes and Edna Rhodes,
mm-hmm.
which is ironically friends with your in-laws and things like that. So
it's not about me, man. This is about you.
I know, but it's just like kind of weird how 6 degrees of separation are more like 5.5 hours of separation.
Right.
But just was raised with my aunt and uncle until my father got remarried again. Went back to high school in Camden and just went on Knoxville College. Basically, I'm, I guess you could say a gumbo of sorts as far as like some of the influences I've had in my life, as far as musically, as far as theatrically, as far as just family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically you and I, our families have pretty much grown up together.
Oh, absolutely.
And to be able to see some of the very people that when I first came to Atlanta, it was like, I don't know what to do with myself. It's almost like the guy from Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
Which is
so that brings me to this. So let's talk about your journey a little bit. So how did you escape Alabama?
Wow, really?
They tell me the best thing to come out of Alabama is I-20.
And 85. But anyway, no, that's not true. Don't do that.
No. Roll over tide.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Really going there?
I got to do it this year.
Georgia
I got to do it this year.
2 national championships. I swear they have been on a roll.
I have to do it this year, man.
But no, you're going to get rolled over again like last year. But anyway, and my son's a freshman at Georgia, so, I'm split.
You're split.
So, but I After going to college, did a short stint with the Navy, and that wasn't working out. So I left there and drove straight to. Yeah, you didn't even know that part.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You were in the Navy.
Yeah, for a hot minute. When I tell you I got an honorary discharge, I went straight to the Apollo and auditioned. Yep, and from there on, that's when I started going back and forth from Knoxville, Tennessee for like 6 to 8 weeks.
So you're
looking at me like I really don't know you.
So I did know about the Apollo situation. Right. Now that's where I was going to come to that.
That's what the inspiration was.
Okay,
to get off of there.
So you went to the Apollo and you were like winning.
Yeah, for like 6 straight weeks.
And
on the local Apollo.
Doing your thing. Yeah. Who did you end up? Who did you end up losing to?
I lost to 2 girls with Easter dresses on, and they sang a gospel song. That was it. I was singing "Ribbon in the Sky." Ain't nobody want to hear that. They wanted to hear about Jesus right then from them 2 little girls. I think one of them was 9, one of them 6, and they stayed in tune. That's all they needed, and they just lost it. But it was amazing because I actually was signed to a management contract with Percy Sutton, Mr. Percy Sutton, who was the past Manhattan Borough president, as well as a candidate for mayor, and he also was the owner of the Inner City Broadcasting Network, which was WBLS, and also owner of the Apollo at the time.
Right.
He and his sons and his nephew and stuff like that. So I went on the tour to Japan with Millie Jackson. I was the opening act for Millie Jackson.
Wow. Miss Millie.
That's how that whole thing came about.
Oh,
with
wow.
Mr. Jones and all that. So
you went on tour as a background singer, or
no? I actually opened the show.
So you were singing. You were the opening act solo
artist. They had
artist.
me sing "Ribbon in the Sky," and it was another "My Prerogative."
Bobby Brown.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
So the irony of it was that when we flew over to Japan, why was Bobby Brown coming in at the same time and I got a chance to meet Bobby Brown? I got to dig up that picture. I'll show it to you.
Oh, man.
But, that was hilarious that I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to get me for singing his song, and it's out now. But, yeah, that's how I opened up the show singing My Prerogative and Ribbon in the Sky. And then I would double back and sing background for Millie Jackson.
Okay, so let's fast forward a few years.
Oh, yeah, quite a few.
So I met you in 1996, I believe, or 1997.
Yeah.
It was 1996 or 97.
So when was the Olympics?
96.
It was before then.
No, I met you right after the Olympics.
Was it?
Yes.
Because something blew up.
When did you get married?
I got married in 1998. Boy, you about to get me in trouble.
So I met you right before you got married.
Yes. Because you actually co-wrote my wedding song.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
So when I met you, you were singing background for
Keith Sweat.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, you were singing background for Keith Sweat. I met you through a mutual friend. We don't have to mention his. Well, we can mention his name. It's a guy named Eric Smith.
Yeah, real cool. Like he's in the witness protection.
I mean, he's cool brother. Yeah. So we met you through a session for Eric Smith, right. And you came in singing background, and
right. And then I brought some other young ladies from Alabama, and Eric tried to hand me $50 for 4 women.
See, I wasn't trying to bring.
But that thing was funny.
It was funny, man.
Because he folded it up like an old church mother and put it in my hand, like he was really giving me a grip, And I was driving 4 girls from Alabama in a '77 Grand Prix. It got about 800 feet to the gallon,
right?
And then here it is now, and they was healthy girls.
Oh yeah, they was some big ones.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is that politically correct? I don't care. This is my show.
No, they were fluffy.
They were
fluffy. Is that a good one? No. Pulling guards? No, that's too much. One of them was maybe a tight end.
Interesting. The whole thing that's all over the internet now is like how to unbig your back. So
how you unbig your back?
So they were some big backs.
Big backs. Wow. So you're taking at least second round draft picks. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, but you brought them from Alabama, man. So
that's so wrong.
Hey, it's okay.
The Atlanta Falcons have the 8th pick.
If you're grading on the curve, I guess from Alabama, they might have been a size 2.
Wow. Are you finished? Is this going to be Bama bashing day?
Hey, man, this the one time I get a chance to.
All right.
I don't get a chance to do it much, man.
You heard it for your first, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't get a chance to much,
It's going to get ugly. How much more time we got? I just want to make sure.
I don't know, man. We don't.
Our producer's in the dark, but he's a little dark skinned. All I see is teeth and glasses right now.
Oh man, hey,
no, I'm not going to do that because all of this will be edited
all this thing
out.
will be gone.
Yeah, he ain't gonna have nothing. You ain't gonna be like, man,
No.
that was a short interview with
But
Paul.
how did you land the gig with Keith Sweat, man?
It was one of those things where I was talking to a brother, Zach Scott. We were in a band together called Autumn when I was in college and was transitioning out of Knoxville College where I graduated and was going back and forth to Nashville with the group that he was in called Autumn. And they were looking for another singer. And so I auditioned and started doing a couple of gigs. And at some point or another, it just wasn't the right fit for me. And the band started breaking up. So I went on about driving back and forth from Knoxville, Tennessee to Atlanta, Georgia, singing down at the Underground. You know, that with Liz Spraggins.
Oh, wow. Were you down at the A-Train?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's where I met Phil Davis down there and all that sort of stuff. And was driving back and forth to Florence, Alabama, where I was staying with my good frat brother and, well, at the time, just my little brother, French Spencer. And I was doing
another great producer.
Every weekend was doing the three-way, of going and doing gigs. And from doing that, got in touch with Zach because I went to what was then Yin Yang's.
You're giving some real Atlanta history right now.
Yeah, man. So I was at Yin Yang's and then ended up being one of those things where I was like, wow, this is a really cool place. And Lil Jon was on drums and said like, hey, I want you to, come on up, man. So I was like, I started singing. Now, this is before I even really met him. And he's like, wait a minute, hold on. He stood up. You know how you be standing up on the drum and playing?
Yeah.
So he just said, yo, man, you know this song? And tried that. So he didn't know me at that point. So anytime I came into town, he's like, yo, Palmer, come on up, So at that point, that's how I met him. But it just so happened that Avery Johnson was his bass player.
And Avery
Johnson and I were in a band together when he was 19 and I was 19 years old. He was at the University of Tennessee. I was at Knoxville College.
And this is Avery Johnson, who was the original producer that produced India.Arie and a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
So all these names I'm mentioning right now, just to bring it back full circle, are people who were doing big things, who are still doing big things that you may not know. Everybody's not a Beyonce. Everybody's not Justin Timberlake. Everybody's not,
and everybody's not in the public eye.
In the public eye, there are people behind the scenes killing this game.
Avery Johnson did the production for "I Ain't Never Scared."
That's
Bone Crusher.
That's correct. He sure did.
And Andy Ramsey was a white kid that co-produced the album with Avery.
Exactly.
That we were all in a band together called Fresh. we was dope. We had a group called Fresh. 3 blacks and 3 whites. We were just doing, and 2 of the guys are now professors. One at Juilliard.
Y'all were like piano keys.
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of like how your wife, is an orthodontist. Had spaces in between the teeth. Yeah, we were the spaces in between.
So y'all were
the
the cavity creeps.
Don't do that.
No. I'm just kidding. Hey man,
we were the metal
I don't get a chance to tell jokes often, man. I'm sorry, man.
I'm gonna let you get it off.
Hold on, man.
But no, that whole thing ended up being just 6 degrees of separation, and Zach ended up being over here, and he was playing for Keith, and he's like, "Yo, man, you need to come audition for this." I had just pulled up to my aunt's house in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I was kind of in a limbo, and it just so happened I had some time, and I went down and I did that, but at the same time, I was taking care of my father. My father was, unbeknownst to me, and then eventually figured it out that he was transitioning, and getting ready to leave this earth and going on to glory. So that was a period where I was going back and forth.
He passed prostate cancer?
Yes.
So black men, let me take a pause for a second. This is an opportunity. Prostate cancer is a serious condition that disproportionately affects black men.
Yes.
Because we don't go to the doctor to get treated, to get checked out, to get,
scans and all that kind of stuff.
Just get your annual physical, guys. All right. I'm sorry. Back to
no, but that's a real deal. We can come back and do a whole nother show on that.
Man, we actually can.
Yeah, the thing about that my father had just retired at 70, and he lived to 73.
Wow.
And so his quality of life was becoming diminished because of the cancer. But what happened is there's not a lot of, I guess you could say, healthcare facilities that are available for people in rural areas. In Alabama,
Georgia, or Mississippi.
So John Paul Jones Hospital is where I was born, and that's the only hospital that's ever been in Camden. So he would have to drive to Selma, Alabama, which is 38 miles away, in order to go to a medical facility that was a little bit more advanced. And then from there, I ended up having to go to Mobile, Alabama, which is 135 miles away from his house. And so that's why the last 3 years of his life, my sister and I took care of him in Mobile because there was, the type of health care that he would need and that they provided in a larger city. But
so during this, you were still touring. You were still
no, I hadn't even really toured yet. I had already done Good Man's Hard to Find. It was coming to an end, so to speak.
So that was the time for gospel stage plays were coming into fruition at that point.
They were very hot at the time, with the Wicked Ways from the Mike Matthews and the
Beauty Shop with Shelley Garrett and all that stuff.
All of that good stuff. And so here was the little bitty one from North Carolina that in itself, I was in Knoxville, got a phone call at my aunt's house again, and drove to Greenville, North Carolina, and auditioned for a week from an old college friend, Lauren Harper, that had my old number at my aunt's, and I just happened to be in town. I was coming by there to check, see if I had some mail at my aunt's house, and he called while I was there.
So this is a opportunity, what it says, luck favors the prepared.
Yeah.
So all the things that you had been doing in your life have prepared you for these moments we can keep talking about this.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit more. I'm going to move this along a little bit. A few years later, after you were singing with Keith Sweat, that was coming to
the
end.
Week before I got ready to go on tour with Keith Sweat is when my father passed.
Right.
And I came to rehearsal, and the band had pulled some money together and gave it to me and told me to go home and bury my father.
Wow.
And ironically, the person that gave me that money, I just buried them 2 years ago, which was Alan Smith.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was in itself. That's why the connection with those guys was so much closer because they thought enough of me. And so that, going back and then burying my father on Saturday, on Monday I was getting on a tour bus. And the weirdest thing was closing that curtain on that bed and thinking about my father in that coffin. So for the first half a year, I slept with the thing
with the thing.
And so that's when a bunch of these idiots start doing silly stuff, like throwing stuff in my bunk at night because I had my curtain open. But I wouldn't tell them why, And then I'd probably be the last person to get out of the front part of the bus because I was grieving and I didn't know in what sense. But, that tour helped me to grieve and to be able to recover because I wasn't at home.
Because you were too busy to just wallow in the grief.
Yeah, I didn't have time to grieve.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until at night when I laid in that bed, and I was able to do it alone, And then what was even crazier about that, I did this whole tour and dating my wife to be at the same time. So that was in itself a crazy thing too, because that was one of those things where I could. I was going to say, man, you need to take care of that gas.
Oh man,
what's really going on.
So interesting. Hopefully, I don't know if that's coming through, man, or not.
That's construction, but we're growing.
Man, we're growing. So we got literally construction going on all around us in the building right now.
I want to put $10 down as an investment. See how we can flip that.
So let's fast forward again. I'm using the term fast forward.
No, it's all good because that's what you're gonna do with the edit, probably. No.
But you decided to write your own show,
right?
And that show was called "Is Silver and Gold Worth Your Soul?"
Yep.
And it was a good show.
That was crazy.
It was a good show. Yeah. Now I can,
this was the Test Your Friendship show.
So
you.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Well, it's not about me.
I know.
But real quick, and spoiler alert. The show was a financial catastrophe for Palmer. It was an artistic success. Mm-hmm. It was an incredible performance. It was a testament to his fortitude. But let's just be real. It was a catastrophic financial failure.
Right. So what happened?
So how did you recover from that? Because we're not going to dwell on the failure.
Right.
I want to know how you recovered from that.
It was a necessary failure.
Okay.
And it was what catapulted me into having, like you said, that fortitude and just the wherewithal, the training, on-the-job training. as well as like, I know he got something. I just got to keep trying. It was very easy to do, quit and just done landscaping and just say, I'll do something and sing every so often. But that was just not what the deal was going to be.
It was the catalyst for you starting your landscaping company.
Yeah, because I needed some money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started with my lawnmower I got out of the pawn shop just before I got married. And I started with my next door neighbor's yard. I was cutting it for free because she was a single white female with 3 teenage kids. And she just looked like she needed some help.
That's
so
hilarious.
Then I started cutting her yard. Then all of a sudden I started seeing these $25 checks appearing up underneath my mat. And it was from her.
Oh, wow.
She started getting things together and that sort of thing. And the kids were getting older. But anyway, so with all that going, her name was Cheryl, in case she ever sees this. But love you, Cheryl. The issue was that the show was picked up by these promoters out of Philadelphia. We went to Baltimore. It seemed like it did all right. And then we went to New Orleans. We had Reverend Hutchins on the show. And
Norman Hutchins.
Norman Hutchins, and then love him. Then we had Vanessa Bell Armstrong on there at one point as well. Then we had somebody else on there. I can't remember right off. But anyway, we went to New Orleans, and they said, like, look, you got some good news, bad news. We didn't do that well here, but the show is selling real well in L.A. Do y'all want to go? Mind you, I got a bus full of people, and I got to ask this. And, we went on. It was like 18, 20 of us on the bus.
Yes.
And we went to L.A., got out there, did the show. Somebody hijacked the show because one of the cast members said, I want my money now. And so it sparked a kind of a revolt because it was a sold-out house and all that kind of stuff. And mind you, earlier in that week, some promoters had been there to see the show. All right, show ends. One of my boys, one of our guys, Theodore Lee Moyer, known as the DJ Kool Moe Dee's DJ Easy Lee. And he whisked me out of the back of the theater because they were getting ready to jump me, the promoters, and took me into a car and got me out of there. And Big Worm, who I just, William Blunt, which I just talked to this morning, actually,
another great producer who's responsible for the bass line on Michael Jackson's Remember the Time.
Yep. So here it is now. You got all these people, and he's holding my little peacemaker, just because I didn't want it in my hands because I would be a target. Obviously, I was. So they basically barricaded and started busting up the promoters and saved me from getting jumped in the back alley of the Wheel Turn Theater. And I was taken away by this lady, Tanya Piggies, in the back of her little small 318 BMW.
This is not something that happened like in the in the 70s, y'all. This is early 2000. This is 2008. This was 2000.
No, you're right. This was 2000 because Neil was born April 29th.
This was 2000.
So this is early part of that year.
So we're talking, this is like something that a movie, out of a movie script, man.
This Heartbeats.
Man.
The Temptations. And
this is real. This is real life. And I can say that I was a witness to most of this.
Not only was he a witness, he was on keys, but he was also helped responsible for me writing the songs and show. But also, he helped drive the truck all the way from L.A. to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then he and Lee Moyer had to put the set in my front yard because I didn't have a storage place.
Yep.
And I lived in a house that was like 1,485 square feet. Anybody knows what that is? That's tiny. That's a couple steps above a tiny house.
Yeah.
But I came back to a wife that's 8 months pregnant, a set sitting in my front yard with the homeowners association giving me blues, didn't know what to do. And it just so happened a day or two later after all that, and mind you, they were threatening to throw us out of the bus if the check didn't clear from the promoter that was paying for the bus. Because we first got thrown off and we're on the streets of L.A. with all our luggage and the bus was going to pull off and we were going to be stranded. And I called a good friend of mine. I called my rich uncle, Mr. Arthur Jones, and I don't know what he did because he was going to pay for it. But there were some phone calls made, and all of a sudden we all got back on that bus.
Right.
And we got there, and like I said, got our way back home. And then what was even crazier about that, a couple of days later, a promoter called me and asked me, so what happened? Blah, blah, blah. I told you I was interested in the show when I saw you. And sure enough, he said, well, what do you need? And I told him what I needed. And it was to pay the rest of my cast, and all equated to about $35,000.
Which was a lot of money.
A lot of money
in 2000.
Right? He sent me $47,000. I was able to pay everybody. I was able to build a new set, and I went on tour for a year and a half after that.
So fast forward again.
Mm.
So that was,
as I hear myself talk about this,
it's emotional, man. It's it was very, very serious. So fast forward again. You do those. You do that show. You change. It's the same show, but you change the name.
Yes. Can a woman make a man lose his mind?
You change the name in it, and the show does
additional writing help from Adrian Dukes the third.
And the show has some moderate success.
Yes.
Actually the show. I'm sorry, the show has very good success. You get moderate financial success from it because of you still had to recover from the
and at this
other
point
situation.
Now I'm about to have my second child.
Right.
Yes.
And so you still have your landscaping business on the side. Mm-hmm. You have the show going, and then it all goes away for a second, right?
Right. Because I started touring with Monica.
Right.
At that point. And then we end up doubling back somehow to where I end up doing Keith Sweat again and then doing LSG tour.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of touring.
Right.
So at some point in time, you were we were working on a project, and I don't remember the circumstances of how you got there, but you found yourself in another all-time low. And
that was before What a Man Wants, What a Woman Needs.
Well,
I believe.
I'm actually
right around that time.
Yeah. But what I'm referring to is the time when you were at a low and you decided this is where you had to be obedient. When you were asked to be a praise dancer.
Right. Which in itself, and people think that's a joke.
I'm sorry.
The way you set that up, I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? But yeah, it's like, I was like, this is your life, Palmer Williams Jr.
You had to be a praise dancer.
So that was crazy.
Give me the elevator speech version of you being a praise dancer and being obedient and how that turned out for you.
One time. Okay, so what happened is that I was actually going through a depressed part of my life where I did, stop it, don't do that. That's not your gift. But I ended up doing a show, What a Man Wants, What a Woman Needs, that I wrote from a sermon based on Bishop Eddie Long's sermon. And big success here in Atlanta, like 6 shows, 5 of them sold out at the Civic Center when they used to use it for that. And then all of a sudden, just kind of went away for a second. Then I did a short tour for about 8 weeks, and that did pretty good, but then went away. And I just couldn't get anything else started. And I was also trying to have my third child, and that wasn't happening because a lot of people don't realize that when you're depressed, that can cause you to not conceive or under duress and stuff like that. So all that was going on, doing the landscaping, full tilt, and I was also a volunteer for a volunteer ministry at a church. I'm not going to mention it was New Birth, but it was a volunteer ministry that I was in charge of, and then turned around and was fired. And I was like, man, this is really low.
How you get fired on your day off?
You get fired from a volunteer church ministry. That takes a special Negro. And so that happened. And then somebody came to me and said, like, we want you to try this dance, this liturgical dance. I was like, man, I ain't gonna do that. Everybody gonna laugh at me. This is silly. I don't even dance like that. I'll electric slide you to death, but that's about it. Man, went up there and I was not wanting to do it, and it was almost like God cussed at me under his breath. And it's like, if you don't get to do this right here, because you're 2 minutes from the promise, which was another sermon of Bishop Long's. And so I was like, So I ingested that, looked at the video of what we were going to recreate, and I said, you know what? I'll do it. I was disgruntled. I was like, how am I going to do this for this church that fired me and all this kind of stuff? So I went ahead for 3 weeks and trained to do this liturgical dance and all this kind of stuff, and still complaining. I'm burning this $5 a gallon diesel and all this in my F-250 and all this, blah, blah, blah. So he just kept saying, just wait. And I did it that day. when they were getting ready to actually do the ministerial performance, Tyler Perry was at New Birth. And everybody's like, Tyler Perry's here, Tyler Perry's here, Tyler Perry's here. I started stretching like I was David. I was going to dance like I was naked before the Lord, you know. But man, I went out there and God said, don't dance for him, dance for me. And I went out there, did the dance. Church was torn up. Bishop didn't even preach that because that preached the whole sermon that day. The next day, I was in my truck, and Marshawn Jones, a good friend of ours, actually answered my phone when I went back in the house to get something because he was helping me with landscaping, and Mr. Thomas and his son, TR. And I said, hey, man, somebody named Alpha Tyler called you from Tyler Perry Studios. I was like, yeah, right. And he wasn't all the way saved. He's part-time saved. And so he was like, if you don't beep, beep, and answer that beep, beep, beep phone, and I beep, I bust you in your beep, beep face. So I said, all right, Junior Jesus. I went ahead and called him back, and they said, we have an audition for you, 11 or 1. Which one do you want? Not do you want to,
Right.
but or do you want to audition, anything. And I went in there at the 11 o'clock. At 10:15, I was in the parking lot, snotting, crying, and praying. Like, Lord, if you make me a good steward over this man's stuff, I know you're going to make me Lord over my own. And that 15-minute audition turned into an hour and a half. And later that night, they called me and said, we want you. I said, want me how? I said, we want you to be on House of Pain. And then 30 minutes later, I heard this bump on my door, and it was 6 scripts for House of Pain.
Wow. Just like that.
Already written. So then, those 6 days later, I'm shooting the show. It was supposed to be for 6 episodes, and it's been 18 years now. And I go back to work in a week.
Man.
I didn't want to do the dance.
You didn't want to do the praise
Didn't want
dance.
to be obedient to what God was telling me to do. And I encourage those that are honing your craft, even if it's in a church setting, or creating your own gig in a church setting or otherwise, that grow not weary in your well-doing, for in due season you too shall reap if you faint not.
Correct.
And that has been the story of my life thus far. And I still don't think I think I'm only at 45% of where I should be.
Okay.
So I got a lot more to do.
Okay. So what's next, man? What do you have coming up?
A nap. I'm definitely going to take a nap after I leave here.
Yeah. No.
Naps are of God.
Hey, man, they are.
But
they are.
actually, I'm doing a show called Get Your House in Order.
Get your house in order. Okay.
As we age, we start to see different things that are even that much more important to us, and we're becoming our parents, and we're seeing their lives kind of vicariously going through ours, and we start looking at things that like, man, I wish I had treated my mom and dad better because these kids right here are paying me back for all the stuff I did to them.
Man.
Oh, yeah, 2 and 3 times over. But at the same time, you've had that guidance and that knowledge from your parents that you can pass on. And then you also want to make your parents proud and see, I wasn't such a jack up,
Right.
That I actually I did listen sometimes, you
Right.
know. And it's just that circle of life that we're seeing. And we start to talk about things like retirement. We start talking about things like, with us, there really is no real retirement. We just can't show up for a gig one day.
One day, yeah. There's no retirement. One day we can't do it.
Hey, bro, my knee gave out. I ain't going to be able to make the gig.
Period.
You know what I'm saying? And we'll tell them 2 days before. They'll have time for a replacement. Down at Cat Daddy's social club or somewhere.
Oh, man, hilarious.
But but the show addresses estate planning, taking care of elderly parents, taking care of people with long-term healthcare issues.
I mean, you're talking my life right now.
I know. I'm talking about a lot of people's lives and lives that I've already experienced. And because my wife's parents have passed away as well. And so you got, on both sides, we tend to think like, okay, it didn't financially bury us, but, it was a jolt. Quite a big joke, but they were prepared with some of the insurances and stuff they had. So art imitates life.
Yes.
And I'm taking sections of my life, and hopefully it'll be pertainable to a lot of other people. And I'm putting it in this art. And so now it offers hope.
So get your affairs in order. It's going to be shown. Get your house in order. And it's going to be
going to be at the New Black Wall Street Marketplace Ballroom.
Okay.
Some people do the plays in the long hallway in the back, but we're transforming the ballroom into an actual theater setting.
Nice.
And it'll be intimate, only 220 seats, 5 shows, and it's on April 25th through 27th. So what happens?
April 25th through the 27th. Where can they get tickets?
They can get tickets on Eventbrite, or if you see me on the street, I might have some in my pocket, or y'all write your name down, take your cash, and then give it to you later. And then also we'll be selling them at the Pink Lion, which is over at New Black Wall Street Marketplace, which that's another thing too, because of some of these entrepreneurial adventures, if you will. I am also a partner with the Pink Lion Jazz Club. So in that's another ways and means of having another stream of income.
Correct.
Because with the landscaping, not only is it a stream of income, but it's also is humbling.
Yes.
Because you know that, okay, it's going to make me write something tonight. Because it's hot out here, and these mosquitoes are bigger now. The mosquitoes are more so size of dragonflies now.
Oh, man.
And if you know a dragonfly make you hurt yourself.
You know.
Because I know how many lines I messed up in yards trying to dodge a dragonfly coming at you full tilt without some goggles on. You know, so those are the type of things that keep you humble. So you got to go right back to like, yeah, I better write. Because it's amazing to be able to see something come from the page to the stage, and you actually can support a family from it. Yep. A lot of people are just not humble enough to do some of the smaller things in order to be able to fulfill your dreams.
Amen.
Because the dreams are what really fuel you, because it's like the passion of the Christ. The root words for passion are love and pain. I've been telling people this for a long time because he loved us so much that he had to go through all that pain for us to get the better end of the deal.
Right.
So if you have a passion for something, you're going to go through a lot of pain to do what you really love to do. So you may have to go and do that, and you may have to jump off that lawnmower. Right now, I had to go to the chiropractor still because I flipped my lawnmower, landed on my neck. I had to have 36 different, adjustments for 38 days straight to get my neck straight. But if I had to do that all over again to keep my children from being homeless, I just cracked the other side of my neck.
You know what I'm
saying? So because, they didn't ask to be here, I prayed and asked for God to give me a family. So you got to take care of them.
Amen. Well, listen, Palmer, it's been great talking to you,
kicking
man.
me out now.
I got to send you back down I-20, man. No, I'm just kidding. No.
You people.
No, man, but it's been great hearing your story, man,
Yeah,
your personal testimony. I mean, I've known you, but I learned something new about you.
Isn't it amazing that you're actually part of my testimony?
Hey, man, it's a beautiful thing. It's an honor. It's an honor to be a part of it, man. I'm glad that you're in my life.
Yeah, man.
And, you are a brother to me.
Yes, you do.
But at the same time, man, I think it's just important that so many other people get a chance to hear your story. Right. People think of him as an overnight success, but there's
my favorite saying, and I add a number every year. I am a 32-year overnight success.
A 32-year, so you like a middle-aged overnight
I'm only
success.
38.
Okay.
Today.
Well, listen, once again, this is the...
I'm glad this wasn't at church because I was just straight lying, right?
Oh. You know what I'm saying? Well, this is the...
lights started flickering and stuff, the wrath of God.
Man, let me do my outro, man.
Is that what you were doing?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead. I love those Space Ghost glasses, though. I meant to tell you that. Those are nice. I had to get you one of them. Wait a minute. How many sets of glasses? Okay. You got, okay.
Hey.
Are those the same glasses?
No.
That definitely ain't the same shirt.
Man, listen.
Did Nick do some watercoloring or Benjamin?
Listen, man. We are the Billionaire Music Corner.
I know Weeby did that one right there.
This is Palmer Williams Jr. Man, probably one of the silliest, most serious dudes that I know. It's been our pleasure. Hopefully you got something out of this. And we'll see you guys again on the flip side.
Yes. Praise the Lord. You ready to go to the bar?